On today's edition of Cronkite Sports Live, it's a national holiday, opening day for NCAA baseball. We'll check in on ASU live at Phoenix Muni and give you everything you need to know about this weekend.
Plus, things aren't looking good for Bobby Hurley and company with men's hoops. Find out what went wrong last night against Colorado.
And finally, learn the story of a young girl defying all odds as an honorary captain of ASU gymnastics. All of this and more on Cronkite Sports Live.
Hello and welcome back to Studio 6 for another edition of Cronkite Sports Live. I'm Sammy Miller alongside Cavan Malayter. Now, Cavan, I know last weekend was a doozy in the Valley with Super Bowl 57 and WM Phoenix Open, but this weekend is all about the Sun Devils. We have men's and women's hoops, baseball, softball, hockey, wrestling, and gymnastics. Cavan, I'm getting tired just listing them all.
Hey, I feel you, Sammy, but for me, this is the best time of year. March Madness just around the corner, and today, college baseball makes its return across America.
Cavan, I'm so excited to see these Sun Devils back on the diamond, and for more on that to show us who we should be expecting tonight, we bring you Sammy New.
With 28 new players donning the maroon and gold for the first time, Arizona State baseball fans are going to pick up a program for the Sun Devils season opener against San Diego State. But fans should like what they see, with head coach Willie Bloomquist acquiring a transfer class that ranks second in the country behind LSU, as well as the fourth best freshman class in the Pac-12, according to D1 Baseball. Coming off of a season wrecked by a bad pitching staff, Bloomquist made it a priority to acquire high-quality arms, none better than Florida State transfer Ross Dunn. After his sophomore season as the midweek guy for the Seminoles, Dunn will be the Sun Devils' ace on Friday nights. What stands out about Dunn is his propensity for strikeouts. In 48 innings last year, Dunn had 77 punchies for a whopping 1.6 strikeouts per inning. The headliner offensive acquisition for the Sun Devils is sophomore San Francisco transfer Luke Kershaw. Kershaw is a second baseman who immediately slots in the top of the ASU order. D1 Baseball ranks Kershaw as the sixth best second baseman in the country. Coaches are raving about the amount of work he puts in and the leadership qualities he has shown. Last year, as a member of the Dons, Kershaw hit .305 with 8 home runs and a .947 OPS. Bloomquist's first true transfer class is excellent, but he also brought in a solid group of freshmen that features 3 potential starters, led by outfielder Isaiah Jackson. Hailing from just outside of Tucson, Jackson is a true 5-tool player that excels in every area of the game. He projects to be near the top of the Sun Devil lineup, and with his strong arm will play right field, but he has the defensive ability of a center fielder. Opening weekend is here, and Willie Bloomquist is ready to put these new Sun Devils to the test against San Diego State this weekend.
All right, Sammy, let's see how these new additions fare in their ASU debuts this weekend as they look to improve upon a subpar 2022. Speaking of teams that underperformed a season ago, the Devils' first opponent, San Diego State, is coming off a forgettable 18-38 2022 campaign. As welcoming Aiden Blank to the desk for the first time. Aiden, let's face it, San Diego State was not very good last year. Are they any better this year?
Well, first of all, happy opening day.
Exactly.
What do we know about the Aztecs? They discovered chocolate, very well known for their art, and they could use a little bit of improvement on their baseball team this season. They were 18-38 last year, worst record in 9 years under Mark Martinez. It was not a banner year for them. They lost 2 of 3 to ASU at home. They're going to look to return the favor this year at Muni. But even after that, I mean, a grueling Mountain West schedule. They're playing 8 straight road games after their first homestand, 35 against 11 teams that posted winning records last year. It is going to be tough, but they feel like they can do it, and Mark Martinez really emphasized offense. Look for that to be a key part of their season this year.
You just talk about offense. Who are you looking for this weekend to deliver for the Aztecs and keep Willie Bloomquist up at night these next couple of days?
What else do we know about the Aztecs? They love a lot of gods, and one of them would be their god of offense, Cole Carrick. And he has a reputation that precedes him. Preseason Player of the Year in the Mountain West Conference. He moved to center field after playing mostly in the middle infield last year. Had a monster year in the Cape Cod Baseball League. 41 games with the YD Red Sox. Led the team in batting average. He was also an All-Star. And he also received first team All Mountain West recognition last year. He led the team in hits, doubles, total bases, RBIs, and stolen bases. There's basically nothing he can't do. He'll be looking to bring that good mojo with him into 2023. So if you're looking for power offensively, Cole Carrig would be your guy.
All righty, Aiden, thank you so much. Happy opening day indeed. As we now head over to the site where this matchup will take place, where our Blake Neiman is standing by ahead of tonight's matchup. And Blake, Aiden and I just talked about a couple of guys to look out for SDSU, but it's not going to be easy for them as the much anticipated debut for Ross Dunn for Arizona State on the mound tonight. What do you expect from him?
Yeah, Cavan certainly got a good matchup in store here for opening night and a breezy day at Phoenix Muni. We're going to see two veteran arms get the ball, as you just mentioned. Florida State transfer Ross Dunn will be getting it for ASU, and then for San Diego State on the other side, we will be seeing TJ Fontaine. Starting with Dunn from last season, coming into this season, he dealt with a blood clot issue that Willie Bloomquist was very concerned about, thought it was going to potentially put him out for the spring. Luckily, it did not for the Sun Devils, and although he may be fully healthy now, his pitching coach Sam Peraza wants to make sure that he eases him back into his full live pitching and getting him to full force, which is why he's going to be on a 45 pitch limit here today, a maximum of 3 innings that he will go. Nevertheless, though, Peraza said he hopes to work Dunn back up to his full pitching length in a start by the time conference play rolls around. As for the man in the other dugout, Fontaine is coming off a solid season, which he posted 60 strikeouts, combated by only 66 hits in 72 and 2/3 innings thrown. And not to mention the fact that he's also a two-way player, hitting .339 with 8 doubles and a couple of homers in the 20 games in which he appeared as a hitter. And so nonetheless, though, ASU sluggers Ethan Long and Ryan Campos said they're confident in their team's approach coming into this one after seeing Fontaine last year in their series with the Aztecs, where the Sun Devils ultimately came out victorious 2-3 in the series.
Thank you so much. It's great to see the guys out there playing catch, having fun, and batting practice yet again. From Phoenix Muni to Club Farrington, we shall go. It's the home debut for Megan Bartlett and company as Arizona State welcome in the BYU Cougars. We start with you in the top of the first. Arizona State already down early. Maddie Udall reaches after an error made at third base. It made it 2-0 BYU. Then later in the inning, Udall would come around to score after a wild pitch from Mac Osborne. It was 4-0 Cougars after the top of the first inning. Not the start that Bartlett and company wanted whatsoever. Fast forward, bottom 3, BYU up 6-0. Jordan Van Hook singles in Jazz Hill. Then after a throwing error made in left field, it allowed McKenna Harper to score all the way from first base. The Devils got on the board 6-2. Here you see a Jazz Hill solo home run. It made it 6-4. Devils will make it 6-5 after, and a couple batters later when Jordan Van Hook would touch them all. But here's where things started to get interesting. Top of the 6, Alexis Gilo gets thrown out at home by Marissa Schuld after the bunt was thrown down. Great execution there by Schuld in the circle. But then in the bottom half with 2 batters on base, Jazz Hill strikes out swinging, strands 2, and in the 7th inning, the Cougars made the Devils pay. The floodgates just completely opened up. Elana Agbayani singles and BYU scores 2. Taryn Lennon and Martha Epinesa both made it 9-5. Cougars would tack on another to make it a 10-5 final score. Here's Coach Bartlett after the game.
Interesting piece about, I think, trying to do too much and trying to move too fast and all those things is that the intention comes from a really good place. Like, that's a group of kids who's worked so hard since they got here in August. You know, they're settling through nerves and they're trying to find their roles, and I just think they just got to calm down and play.
So 6 games down, and here's where Arizona State stands right now. 4-2 record after starting out 3-0 with wins over Cal State Northridge, San Diego State on the road, Northern Illinois. They dropped one to Notre Dame at 7-1. Beat Memphis 10-0 in 5 innings, and then obviously last night we just showed you the highlights for Arizona State losing to BYU. But there's still a lot of time obviously left in the season. 4 games left this weekend for Arizona State, which is highlighted by a doubleheader against 2 schools from Illinois, Illinois State and DePaul, on Saturday evening.
Now let's shift our focus back to ASU men's hoops. Now, they were back in town after taking down the Bay Area schools last weekend on the road, and it is crunch time as the regular season winds down. Colorado visited Tempe last night, and this one was extremely competitive. KJ Simpson Jr. getting it done with the aggressive burst to the rack. And the last time these two teams met, it was ASU sparking a comeback, but this time it was punch for punch. Jemiah Neal goes coast to coast there, and he says, "Get out of my way," leading to a 32-29 Sun Devil lead late in that first half. And it would get fiery. This guy right here, KJ Simpson Jr., time expiring at the half, but he knocks it down. Splash. Absolutely cold-blooded. ASU, however, came out of the first half with some intensity. Frankie Collins, the little guy, showing off the bunnies to put ASU up 38-34. And hey, I know that guy. James Harden in the building last night to check in on his alma mater, dapping up Mr. Ray Anderson right there. And the Beard was there to see this slugfest. It was a battle until the last 5 minutes. Now, Colorado got hot, while ASU cooled down. The Buffaloes were making it rain from downtown, leading to a 17-3 scoring run to close out the game. And the Sun Devils so desperate for each and every win, but were unable to get it done. The Buffs win this time 67-59. Here's what head coach Bobby Hurley had to say following the game.
You know, they're clutch players. You know, they're their best players. You know, the three that De Silva hit was a kill shot. You know, when it was a 2-point game, we needed a stop. The clock was running down, and he stepped up and drained it. So, and then we had other chances. We just didn't. We didn't do our part offensively to generate enough points to win.
Now the road ahead is anything but easy for these Sun Devils. They're not only fighting for a spot in the tournament, but tomorrow they are honoring their seniors in their last home game of the season against Utah. Then they will head down south to take on their rivals, number 8 Arizona. And to close out the regular season, ASU will travel to the City of Angels for tough matchups against number 4 UCLA and USC.
Yesterday was senior day for the Arizona State men's wrestling team, and they welcomed in Cal State Bakersfield for a duel at Desert Financial Arena. And yesterday it was indeed all about the seniors. Senior Brandon Courtney got us going there as he defeated Eddie Flores 14-4 at the 125-pound weight class there. The next senior, Michael McGee, defeated Romeo McNeil 18-3 at 133. And then we had a bonus match for you all. Dom Jajena defeated Tyler Dean 5-3. There you see Zeke Jones looking on, proud of his side. And let's face it, it was absolutely domination by Arizona State from start to finish. They defeated CSU Bakersfield by a score of 42-0. Yes, you heard me right, 42-0. Here's head coach Zeke Jones about what the match and what the seniors have been able to bring to the table.
I mean, just a bunch of really good guys who bonded together and had a high goal, and they wanted to be good and obviously propelled the program to where it's at right now. You don't replace guys like Brandon Courtney, Mikkel McGee, and Cordell Norfleet. I mean, 10, 12 Pac-12 championships, multiple time All-Americans. I mean, they're irreplaceable. They're Sun Devil legends now.
It's days like yesterday that make everyone reflect on what the senior class and those who are leaving upon season's end have accomplished, but also signifies the beginning of the future, and for that, our Kellen Croxton has more.
A 42-0 win over CSU Bakersfield was about as good as it can get on senior day for the Sun Devils, and while the day had its bright spots, a few questions loomed for the team's future, and with 4 starters leaving the lineup after the season, how do the replacements stack up? 125 is potentially the strongest replacement for the Sun Devils, with 14-0 Richard Figueroa looking to replace Brandon Courtney. Both wrestlers have been battling for the starting spot all year, and Figueroa has potential to be one of the best wrestlers on the roster. If Figueroa stays, Arizona State shouldn't be missing a beat. After Mikkel McGee graduates at 133, Arizona State will have to choose between native 133-pounder and top 40 ranked Julian Klebo, Carter Dibbert, or possibly moving up 125-pounder Tristan Mascarenas. Overall, loss of options, but not as promising as 125. 184 is more clear-cut, with Anthony Montalvo splitting dual reps with Josh Newmer this season, and shouldn't make much of a dent for a solid 184-pound weight class. At 197, Jonathan Fagan is the primary follow-up wrestler, but with a 4-11 record, the Sun Devils should be eyeing 197 as a possible focus for this offseason. Otherwise, it's going to be a sore spot in duels next season after losing Cordell Norfleet.
Thank you for that, Kellen. We now go across the street to Mullet Arena as Arizona State Hockey welcomes in Lindenwood for a 2-game series. The Lions are in their first season at the Division I level, and for more on them, here's WCSN hockey reporter Eric List.
Thanks, Cavan. Being the new kids on the block is no stranger to Arizona State hockey. 2015 was their first year competing at the D1 level, where they finished 8-22-4 in their inaugural season. The Lions come to Mullet Arena as the new kids on the block after making the jump to D1 this year. Previously an ACHA program, the Lions become one of 6 total independent hockey programs, including the Sun Devils. Entering Tempe, the Lions are just 7-17-0 overall, but are coming off a weekend sweep of Stonehill College. The Sun Devils, on the other hand, are coming back from a weekend off after being swept against Alaska Fairbanks. Leading the way for Lindenwood is head coach Rick Zombo, a former NHL player in his own right for the Blues and Red Wings. Zombo was the assistant coach for 2 years before being named the head coach in 2010. He has led the team to 2 ACHA championships in 2016 and 2022. While the team's overall record isn't anything to write home about, the team has played some good teams closely. They lost to number 1 Denver 5-4 after being tied 4-4 with them late in the third. They also had the University of North Dakota down 2 goals before losing 4-3. Game 1 is set for tonight at 7 o'clock. Back to you guys at the desk.
Now, of course, this show is called Cronkite Sports Live for a reason. We talk about ASU athletics, but it's always an important reminder that some things are bigger than sports. For Berlin Jensen, her dreams came true on Valentine's Day, finally becoming an honorary member of Sun Devil Gymnastics. Our Janae Bradford has more on Jensen's inspiring fight through cystic fibrosis.
February 14th was Love Day, but it was all about Berlin Jensen at the Gym Devils training facility in Tempe. ASU and nonprofit Team Impact honored Jensen with a national letter of intent as an honorary member of the team. Being with the girls allows her to take her mind off of her condition. Jensen has cystic fibrosis, also known as CF, which affects her lungs and digestive system. The team has created a strong bond with the local young gymnast, all thanks to a former Gym Devil.
One of our alumni has a daughter who has cystic fibrosis, and she's very heavily involved in the foundation. So it was several years ago we were kind of looking for something for the team to be involved in that we had a connection to.
The evening ended with sweet treats and laughs, but the night wouldn't be complete without one more go-round. What started as flipping and jumping every few weeks turned into an unbreakable bond with purpose.
She's fought more battles than I ever have, and she still comes out smiling. So yeah, she's a real inspiration.
Not only has Jensen's social skills improved, but the exercise is an extreme benefit to her physical health.
At home, she has a vest that she shakes on morning and night with nebulizer treatments and stuff like that. So when you're jumping, it's the same thing as doing kind of what the vest does, which is like a CPT treatment.
But this doesn't feel like treatment for Jensen, and it shouldn't. These trampolines allowed the 6-year-old to finally be free and grow with people who care about her.
She came into the gym, she was really shy and held back, but I pulled her aside and we played a little bit on the bars, and we actually took a photo when she was hanging by her knees on the bars, and I did it with her, so that was definitely a favorite moment.
The Sun Devils were not lying when they said Berlin is described as a little ball of energy, and that showed on the floor and on the trampoline of the John Spinney Women's Gymnastic Training Center. And if I learned one thing from her today, it's to always find what you love to do and do it with the people you love. From Tempe, I'm Janae Bradford with Cronkite Sports.
Very incredible story there from Janae, so thank you so much for that. Moving on now to Sun Devil women's basketball, who just finished up their game this morning against number 21 Colorado and remains winless in Pac-12 play, losing 70-62. Our Dylan Wickman has been tracking the team all season long and has some insight as to why they've been struggling in this edition of By the Numbers.
Thanks, guys. So it's obvious that the Sun Devils have struggled this season, but one area where the team really struggles is the third quarter, which is evidenced by their team's 3-point third quarter against California last Friday. For reference, the Sun Devils this season are getting outscored by 44 in first quarters, 32 in second quarters, and only 1 in the fourth. However, in the third quarter, they're getting outscored by 131. That means that they're losing each third quarter by an average of almost 6 points while shooting about 32% from the field and 23% from three. And in their 24 games, they have won a total of 3 third quarters, but have been outscored by double digits in 7. If the Sun Devils don't want to become the second team in Pac-12 history to go winless in conference play, they will need to play well for a full 40 minutes and not just in stretches. Back to you guys.
Now, while winning in the Pac-12 for Sun Devil women's basketball may be a struggle, for the women of ASU lacrosse, that's simply not the case. Last season, they were almost crowned Pac-12 champions, and now they are hungrier than ever to get back to that stage. For more on the status of this new lacrosse team, let's send it over to Justin DeHaas.
Thanks, guys. The Arizona State women's lacrosse team had its best season in program history last year with an 11-8 record and a loss to the Stanford Cardinal in the Pac-12 championship game. The Sun Devils are projected to finish 4th in the preseason coaches poll after losing head coach Tim McCormick to Johns Hopkins and their top 3 point scorers. ASU will be led by Taryn Van Thorth, who spent the last 6 seasons as the assistant coach for the lacrosse powerhouse Florida Gators. Attacker Katie Brodsky and midfielder Kaylin Buckner are the highest scoring returners from last year's squad, and as graduate students, they bring veteran leadership. The Sun Devils endure a 6-game road trip from February 24th to March 17th following their season opener against the St. Bonaventure Bonnies on Saturday, so it won't get any easier for ASU after coming up short of a Pac-12 title last season. Back to you guys.
The ball is tipped, and there you are. You're running for your life. You're a shooting star. You know how the rest of the song goes. Every college basketball fan knows. One shining moment, the soundtrack to the anthem of March. Every player and every coach dreams of making it to the biggest stage. Bobby Hurley and his squad are no different. The last time the Sun Devils made it to the Madness was in 2019. So needless to say, they are hungry to make it back to one of the most exciting tournaments across all sports. But before I go on, let's travel back a few months. ASU had one of their best starts in program history, going 11-1, including huge wins over Michigan, VCU, and Creighton, leading to a top 25 ranking. At that time, a March Madness appearance was a lock, but that was 3 months ago. The Sun Devils are now 18-9, losing 6 of their last 10 games. What seemed to be a certain postseason dance is now turning into a desperate dash to March. 4 games remaining before heading to Las Vegas for the Pac-12 tournament. The next 3 weeks will decide their fate. Now, they can't go back in the past, but they can focus on winning 1 game at a time. That will and want to win goes far beyond just Bobby Hurley and his team. ASU is dying to have a successful squad that they can get fully behind, and this right here is their best chance. Now, don't get me wrong. Utah, Arizona, UCLA, and USC are no easy feats, and now they will have to make a serious run in the Sin City. But maybe, just maybe, their gritty underdog mentality might just be enough to get it done and punch a ticket into the big dance. And that's the way it is.
It's time for top plays. We start with number 5 and we go back to Desert Financial Arena. Arizona State against Cal State Bakersfield yesterday. And here we have Max Wilner in sudden death overtime. The winner takes it all. And look at him come up here with a big takedown. He wins it there. He's fired up, Sammy.
And for number 4, we are going to head to Desert Financial Arena. Now, Cavan, I'll bring the chips, you bring the guac for the block party. Des Cambridge Jr. says, I do not think so.
Number 3, we go to Farrington Stadium. Marissa Schuld makes every pitcher in America happy with a perfectly executed PFP. Plays her position well, fields the bunt, gets the out at the plate there.
And for number 2, we are going back to the mats. We have the Sun Devil legend, Colton Schultz, pinning down the CSU Bakersfield player. And look at him go. The Sun Devils were absolutely dominant, beating Bakersfield 42-0. Absolutely amazing performance on senior night.
And finally, number 1. Back to men's basketball we go. Arizona State and Colorado. Turnover by the Buffs at one end, and here comes Jemai Neal. Full head of steam, tells Drew Hammond at third to get up or get out the way, son. There's a highlight reel dunk and a poster there for Jemiah, but the Sun Devils would still fall to the Buffs. And that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Cronkite Sports Live. But before we send it off, there's someone special we need to thank.
Our former faculty advisor and friend, Mark Rita, is retiring after a decorated career in sports broadcasting.
Definitely one of Cronkite's greatest instructors and a mentor to so many of us, including myself and Sammy. And we felt that it's only right for us to congratulate him and thank him for all that he's done for not only us here at WCSN, but for the entire Cronkite school.
And the mark of a great teacher is what their students go on to do without them. And although everyone who ever worked with you will miss the faint sound of you humming Billy Joel under your breath and the way that signature rose cheek smile made us feel after a job well done, you deserve this. And we hope you enjoyed playing 18 holes because you woke up in the morning and decided that's how you wanted to spend the day. While you do that, we will keep working, lifted up by the legacy you left behind and all that you taught us. Not just about a good broadcast, but being good people. What we build is what you built.
And Mark, it turns out you built a winner. We are pleased to announce today that CSL has been named the nation's best students video sports news program by the Broadcast Education Association for 2023, an accomplishment that speaks as much about us as it does about you, Mark.
And it wouldn't be possible without Mark Rita inspiring so many of us from the day we stepped into Cronkite, and of course, every single person involved in our club who puts in so much work into this show.
It really is special what we've got going on here. So on behalf of Sammy Miller and every single person in the studio and the control room, I'm Cavan Malayter. We'll see you next week in Studio 6 for another edition of Cronkite Sports Live.